Welcome. My name is Peter Strong, and I'm a professional mindfulness-based psychotherapist based in Boulder, Colorado. But I offer online counseling via Skype throughout the US and abroad as well. If you're interested in Skype counseling, then do please go to my website and learn more about this online counseling service, and then simply send me an email and I will tell you everything you want to know about Skype counseling and how it can help you with your specific needs. So what is Skype counseling, first of all? Well, basically, it's a way that you can talk to me or a therapist online without having to leave home and uh, get some professional advice and assistance with overcoming common emotional problems such as anxiety or depression. Um, that's the most common condition that I work on using Skype counseling. But I also help a lot of people with addictions as well. Skype counseling is a way of getting professional help without having to leave home. It's also a good alternative to the medical-based approach to treating psychological problems like anxiety and depression. Um, some people may benefit from a medical intervention, but for most people, um, they don't need medical help, they don't need medications. All they need really is to learn some new psychological skills for managing difficult emotional reactions. Um, the style of therapy that I offer over Skype is called Mindfulness Therapy, which is particularly effective for anxiety and depression. And during these Skype counseling sessions, I will be teaching you very practical mindfulness-based methods for essentially um, removing or neutralizing those underlying emotional habits that create your emotional suffering, whether that's anxiety or depression or addiction or whatever it may be. Most people are not aware of the underlying psychological habits that cause their emotional suffering. These habits run on autopilot, and it's only when we start to explore them through the methods of mindfulness therapy that we can begin to uncover these habits and see how they work and then change them. So, for example, if you are interested in Skype counseling for anxiety, what I would have you do is to really apply mindfulness to look closely at the inner structure of your anxiety. This is quite different than the conventional talk therapy or analytic type therapy where we're trying to understand the origin of the anxiety and the history of it and so on. In Skype counseling, we're really exploring more the actual structure of the anxiety, how it really works right now in the present. And for most people, when you examine anxiety, you'll see there's a great deal of internal psychological imagery that's associated with that emotion. And that's one of the things we focus on during the counseling sessions, is uncovering this emotional imagery, looking at its structure, and then changing it. For some people, that can be as simple as changing the position of the emotional imagery. where they see it habitually makes a big difference. For example, when we say we feel overwhelmed by anxiety or depression or other emotions, that is a very clear indication of the position of the emotion itself. That is, that the emotion is above us psychologically. That's how we see it in the mind, being large and being above us. And we see ourselves as very small and threatened by this large emotional imagery. So size and position are very important, and we can change these factors directly once we become conscious of them, because with consciousness you have choice. It opens up the opportunity to actually change the emotional imagery. And when you change the size and the position of your anxiety, you will decrease its intensity. And if you change it enough, then it basically is resolved and will not come back. The imagery is one of the most important factors that causes emotional suffering. So with mindfulness we explore that imagery, and then we explore changing the imagery until it no longer bothers us. And the other factor that we explore during Skype counseling for anxiety and also for depression too, is to look at the relationship that you have with your emotions. So most of us develop an unfortunate habit of reacting to our unpleasant emotions. We react to that anxiety or the depression. And when you react to it, you essentially strengthen that emotion. If you react with aversion or resistance or trying to get rid of it, you end up strengthening the emotion itself. So reactivity is another big factor that we change during the mindfulness counseling sessions. We have to change those habitual patterns of reacting to our own emotions. So that's one of the functions of mindfulness therapy, is to examine all of these patterns of reactivity and change them. And a third factor that we explore during Skype counseling is the relationship that you have with your emotions and whether you become identified with them. That's another major factor in emotional suffering. We become so identified with our emotions. We think that that is what I am. When you say the statement, I am afraid, you are literally taking on the identity of the emotion. You are becoming that emotion. And that causes a psychological contraction in the mind, which leaves you vulnerable to experiencing more and more emotional suffering. The more you contract into the thought or emotion, the more you suffer. So breaking the habit of reactive identification is also a big factor that we explore during the Skype counseling sessions. And if you're interested, of course, simply go to my website and email me and we can schedule a Skype counseling session. Another reason that you might want to consider Skype counseling is if you're living abroad or if you're living in a very rural area where it's difficult to find a counsellor to work with to help you. Many people also don't want to work with someone that they know in their local area. So that factor of anonymity is also desired by many people. And if that's the case, if you would prefer to have the greater privacy offered by Skype counseling and online therapy in general, then again, call me, email me, and let's schedule a trial session. So there's the convenience of it too. That's another big factor, especially if you have children at home, or if you're caring for an elderly relative, or if you're disabled, or if you're suffering from agoraphobia or extreme social anxiety, then you might find it difficult to leave home at all. So I see a lot of people who suffer from social anxiety and agoraphobia, and the Skype counseling sessions help them tremendously. I also see a lot of people who have a fear of driving, and which also keeps them from going out to see a therapist in their local area. Driving anxiety responds amazingly well to the mindfulness therapy approach that I offer online. So there are many benefits. Are there any disadvantages to Skype counseling? Well, it's not suitable if you need a medical treatment. If you need to be prescribed medications, then of course you must go to see your local doctor. It's also not suitable if you're in a crisis mode and are at risk of doing harm to yourself or others. Then you should contact the local authority to provide assistance. Skype counseling is really designed to give you practical methods of working with common emotional problems rather than medical problems. So if you'd like to learn more about Skype counseling, and if you'd like to schedule an online therapy session with me, then please send me an email and we can schedule a Skype counseling session at a time that works for you. As I say, I see people all over the world. It's just a question of finding the right time, and that's usually quite straightforward. So all you need for Skype counseling, of course, is a good internet connection and a laptop or even an iPhone or a tablet that has Skype downloaded on it. And the other thing you need for Skype counseling is a PayPal account, so you can make your secure online payments for your counseling sessions after completion of each session. The first counseling session is what I call a trial session, which means that there's no upfront payment for any of these sessions. It depends entirely on your satisfaction. If you like what you're learning during these therapy sessions, then you pay for that session. If you don't like what you have been taught, if you don't like the outcome of the counseling session, then there's no obligation for payment. I want to be make it as simple and as direct as possible for you. Since you don't know me, you've never met me in person, so that's why I offer this payment after the session option, which is not very common, by the way, for most counseling sessions. So if you'd like to get help with anxiety or depression or addiction recovery, or OCD. I also work a lot with obsessive disorders, because of course that is also habitual and is based on the same kind of mechanism that creates anxiety or depression, that is obsessive reactive thinking. And if you'd like to learn how to apply mindfulness to these psychological, emotional conditions, then please do email me, and let's schedule a trial Skype counseling session. Thank you.